Do you like movies and games also? Listen, so much more, they all know. Vice, Lotus and Friends, welcome to Corrective Consciousness.
Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 170, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I am your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Fakafon.
Alright, we are back again with another episode of Corrective Consciousness, and this episode I wanted to do marooned games, or games that basically are on a system and drastically need to have an update, a new port, or just basically need to be moved over so we can forget about the old console. And in particular, I wanted to start off with a bunch of Wii U games because, for the most part, most of the Wii U games that were worth a damn, that were exclusive, have already made it. But there are a few worthwhile titles that are kind of surprising that haven't moved over yet, and I wanted to go over those in particular. I kind of mentioned them in a previous episode that I was kind of thinking about this, but one of the big ones was Pikmin 3. Now, I am a huge fan of Pikmin 1 and 2, and this game I actually didn't really get a chance to really play. So I hear it was great. But I never played it. But I did buy it, so surprising no one that I bought a game and never played it.
Did you ever try the 3DS one?
I do have that, and I haven't played it. But apparently that's the one that's least liked.
That is what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, by everyone. I what was that? Hey Pikmin.
Oh, I forgot what it was called, but that's it. Yes.
Yeah, Hey Pikmin.
Hey, you, Pikmin.
Yeah, right.
It's like Seamen, but with Pikmin.
Oh goodness!
But not with Leonard
Such a
Nimoy.
weird game.
But definitely a game that I really loved. I loved 2. I thought 2 was amazing. Pikmin 1 also was really good for different reasons. I feel like 2 definitely had like a dungeon crawling aspect to it. Like you definitely went underground quite a bit, and it felt like you were in dungeons. So it had a different feel to it. Whereas the first game definitely really felt like you were like in a natural environment, like outside.
Yeah, okay.
But the third game did interest me. I just it fell off for me, and I got distracted. And I would really love to see a modern port on the Switch, because that would be really great. Let's see here. There was also this one was like one of the very last official games for the Wii U from Nintendo. Paper Mario Color Splash. I don't really know the critical reception on this one. Maybe lukewarm, because the Paper Mario games are always very experimental nowadays.
Yeah, I heard that like the Wii one, Super Paper Mario, was like pretty good, and then I think people started kind of falling off on like Color Splash and Sticker Star.
Yeah, Sticker Star, and there's also the one where they teamed up with Paper. It was Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. There was also that one as well.
I think that one was pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Most of them are good, but they're always offbeat.
Yeah, I think like Paper Mario 1 is very well liked, and Thousand Year Door is like the golden. Well, I don't know what you call it, just like the supreme example of the series.
Yeah. That's people love that game, and deservedly so. I've always gotten like halfway through it and just gotten distracted. But
you know what's fantastic is they do one of those things toward the end of the game where the final boss goes like, "So Mario, do you wish to join me in my conquest of Earth?" And there's a yes or no, and like I was like Luminaire was playing in college, and I wanted him to say yes, I'll join you, because I wanted to see what like the funny dialogue would be, and he was like fine. and then it's like you join him, and like the world is taken over, and everything like goes to shit, like game over. We're like, what? Like it actually leads to a bad ending.
Mario's the bad guy.
Yeah, it just blew my like. I didn't think they would do that.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just go to a bad end. I mean, it's basically a game over. It's not like you hit credits or anything, but like I couldn't believe it.
And here's another one that everybody's clamoring for. Devil's Third.
Everyone's clamoring for.
My
So
favorite
this one,
Game Grumps series.
I am not. This one is an infamous kusoge, if you will, game made by Itagaki, the former
The Dead or Alive guy.
Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden director of Team Ninja before he I think he got fired from Koei Tecmo.
For making Devil's Third.
Or as I call it, Devil's Turd.
You know, it took me a little bit of doing. Like I had to go on eBay to get a physical copy of it.
I think it's somehow related to Turd Birthday.
Yeah, that's where I was considering mentioning like it's been done.
No. But yeah, apparently it's just a woefully like poorly programmed, really terrible.
Yeah, like
game.
from the game, like I can't speak for how it plays, but from gameplay, it looks just like it doesn't look bad. It just looks very mediocre.
Yeah, I think that's the major problem with it.
Well, yeah, if it were bad, then it would be like Ride to Hell, where you play it to laugh. But it's just like, okay.
Yeah, so nobody wants that, but it is certainly marooned on the Wii U.
Yeah.
This one, I'm very surprised Nintendo hasn't made the jump on. Super Mario 3D World.
That is quite surprising.
Yeah, and I think people have kind of forgotten about it, actually.
And like
nobody...
I was never really into Mario games, like in general. But like I like 3D World.
Yeah, Mario 3D World was, if you ask me, probably the best Wii U Mario game.
That was the one that had like Cat Mario and like the cherry where you multiply.
Yeah,
that's
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was a really good game.
And like the final battle with Bowser, I won't say how it goes, but that was very creatively handled as well.
Yeah, it's the sequel to Mario 3D Land, which was the 3DS game.
How appropriate, by the way, the Land game is exclusive to a handheld. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Mario Land was on,
they did that on purpose.
The original Game Boy, and like Donkey Kong, like not Donkey Kong Country, like Donkey Kong Land was on the Game Boy as well.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a great game. I loved playing it, especially like multiplayer, because it was definitely a really good couch co-op game. I think these games work better than the new Super Mario Brothers games that are also couch co-op.
Yeah, those games are all right.
They're fun.
I just like the 3D one more, and I'm not even really sure I can say why.
I think it's in the way that you have your own space. Like
that is true. There isn't endless like, whoops, you're at the edge of the screen, you're in a bubble. Fuck you.
Exactly. You don't get in each other's way nearly as much.
Like some people say that a lot of the fun of the new Super Mario Brothers is trolling people with the bubble stuff, but like I like am susceptible to being trolled. It just actually bothers me. So like the 3D Land, I guess, is just more playable.
Yeah. I definitely think that out of all of these types of games, this is my favorite. It's really good, and it's a damn shame it doesn't have a Switch port yet. I assume that it will make the jump because the new Super Mario Brothers U games have made the leap. So I would definitely say that that it's likely. Pikmin 3 maybe, Mario Color Splash Melee maybe, but out of all of the ones left on the Wii U, Super Mario 3D World is definitely the most likely candidate. Moving on, the original Splatoon was a great game and also had a really great one-player mode. I really, really loved it.
Yeah, I've seen it played, and it's pretty great.
it was a lot of fun. The bosses were great. It was unique. I don't see this game ever coming to the Switch because Splatoon 2 is mostly a multiplayer game. So it has all of the content and features of the original game, just more of it and tweaks and to make it better. So in that regard, the multiplayer game has totally supplanted the original. However, the one-player content has not made the transition over. Splatoon 2 has different one-player content. So it's a bit of a shame because it had a really amazing campaign. I really enjoyed it. It was a little on the short side, but it was still really, really fun. So, let's see here. This is a big one for both myself and Lotus. Fatal Frame 5. I really wish this game had a Switch port.
Yeah, that game needs to come to Switch, partly because Wii U's sort of just becoming this obscure system and Fatal Frame needs some more love, but also, like I had mentioned on Reactive Consciousness, it's like unplayable on the original version of the Wii U because it's too big for the system. The game was only released... Well, that's not fully true. In America, that's how it is, because Europe got physical copies, but like North America did not. So it was download only, and it's like almost 16 gigs. So that's bigger than the fucking system. And even if you have a 32 gig system, which is the only other size, so it's the biggest size, you still need your system to be pretty much empty. Well, but you need it to be pretty much empty to download it, because you have to download the game and the install file, which then deletes itself. So you need like 30-something gigs free to be able to download your 16 gig game. Ooh, so, boy. I mean, you could always buy like an extra hard drive for your Wii U, but like...
Why would you?
You don't really need that. Yeah, like, so it's just really irritating. Like, that game was kind of like set up to fail in America. Like, nobody advertised it ever, and it's digital only, and it's
really
too big for your system.
The only retail style game to get that treatment.
Yeah.
It was the only game that only got a digital release.
I will say the game.
That style.
I will say the game does cover very sensitive subject matter. Like even for Fatal Frame, it's not very advertiser friendly. But even still, like they localized it and then like set it up to fail. Why would you do that?
I would think nowadays, a game like that would have a much better chance of getting a physical copy because of the way we have like all the companies that make limited run stuff and all that stuff. A lot of them
do it on Switch because Nintendo's very friendly to that kind of treatment.
Exactly.
Like, the only company that really isn't is Microsoft, because to make physicals of a game, you need to make X copies of the game, but Microsoft's number is very high. That's why you're never going to see like a limited run Xbox game. But Sony and Nintendo, sure.
Now, I don't see Fatal Frame 5 getting a release like that.
Well, I mean, I could see an official retail release.
I would think that the only way that it would happen is as part of a collection.
But what would be on the collection, though? Like 1 through 3...
1 through 5.
Yeah, but no way in hell. Like 1 through 3 is on Sony. 4 is only in Japan. So, like, what are you going to do? Unless you, like...
Well, 1 and 2 are also on the original Xbox.
Okay, but 5's on Nintendo. Like, there's no way 5's going to be packaged with anything. Like, it can't be done. Like, unless it's 4, which they're not going to re-release.
I think they could make a modern port of all of them, as part of a bigger collection. I mean,
but again, radically different systems, and 4 is dead, and 5 is open, but it can't go with any of its friends.
Well, I can dream.
Yeah, I mean, if the companies all shook hands, then I could see like 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe. But 4 is fucking dead, and it's a shame because I like 4.
Yeah, it really is. Another one is a launch window release, Game & Wario.
That's a good point.
So this is kind of a spin-off of the WarioWare titles. It kind of had a lot of features that used the gamepad. It was actually one of the better games to show off what the Wii U could do that was unique. I don't see this game ever being
some games you just
re-released.
can't make work. That is one thing, by the way. I've said on the podcast before, I really don't like it when certain mechanics are shoehorned in, like the 6-axis controls on early PS3 titles, or like everything being motion controls on the Wii. But like the Game & Watch games, or the WarioWare games are like brilliant at making that stuff work. Like they are so like the Wii stuff, like the whatever, what was it called? Smooth Moves on the Wii.
Smooth Moves,
is utterly brilliant.
Twisted. Also.
I forgot about that one.
Sensor. Yeah, no, and Touched for the DS. That one used the touch screen on the DS. Really, really great games. The weird one that didn't do it really well is the DSi one. The one that used the camera.
Well, that's kind of esoteric anyway. Like you need specifically a DSi.
Well, yeah, you could still buy it on the 3DS, but yeah, it's a funky one.
But can you still buy Photo Dojo on the 3DS?
I don't think so.
Photo Dojo is by far the best game ever made because
I love Photo Dojo.
We're in it.
Oh no, I actually do have Photo Dojo.
Of course you do. I mean, unless you deleted it, but like we were in it.
Yeah. No, but I think in the transition I lost my save, so like...
Well, whatever. The point is, Photo Dojo exists. It's a great game.
Yeah,
it's so fucking stupid, but it's a great game.
Yeah.
In fact, it's great because it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let me see here. There's also the Wonderful 101, which is another touchscreen game.
That's another one. I guess because you said it's touchscreen, but it's still a little surprising that it hasn't made the jump.
Yeah, I think this one might.
Well, yeah, now that Platinum Games is like particularly in vogue and very buddy with Nintendo.
Yeah, in fact, they made one of their best-selling games for the system. Astral Chain actually sold really, really well.
Yeah, from what I've heard from people who've beaten it, they might like I think they like Bayonetta better, but Astral Chain's still very good.
Excellent.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to play it, so I haven't gotten a chance to yet, but I definitely want to go back to it. And probably the last like big title that I think is still marooned on the Wii U is Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Wasn't that one? I thought that one might be making the jump.
No, Xenoblade Chronicles is.
Excuse Chronicles me. X. Okay.
Yeah, don't forget the X. It changes it.
Well, no, I knew. Does. I just forgot which one was making the jump.
It's like when you dial a phone number and you get one number wrong, someone completely different.
I've had that. But no, like X would be nice to make the jump because you wouldn't have to download a fucking HD texture pack for
I was gonna mention that if you have Xenoblade Chronicles X and Fatal Frame 5 on your Wii U,
then you're done. That's it.
You're really done. I think the HD pack was over 15 gigs.
Yeah, like hold on, guys. I need to make room for the HD graphics. Sold separately or downloaded separately. Like really?
Downloaded separately. Yeah. So just to clarify what Chronicles X is, so Xenoblade Chronicles, it was on the Wii. And it was one of the games that was heavily campaigned for to get a Western release, and thankfully, after everybody begged for it, we actually did get it.
We got all 3 Project Rainfall games. But the thing is, like I had modded my Wii in order to be able to play foreign games. That's how I was able to Let's Play Fatal Frame 4. But the way I learned how to mod the Wii was on a page that gave you instructions to do it. It was like, we know you want to play Xenoblade Chronicles, so here's how to mod your Wii. Like the instructions were for Xenoblade, the actual game that more people wanted. I just thought it was like amusing that's how it was framed. But like everyone wants Xenoblade, so the guide was like, remember, buy your games before you like put them in your Wii and everything. Don't use this to pirate. Use this to import. But like this is how you'll finally get Xenoblade Chronicles in case America doesn't get it. Like that's what the page was all about. It was kind of amazing.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that game is getting a port to the Switch, an enhanced port with extra content.
Nice.
It has a whole new region and everything, and also it will be in HD for the first time.
And not only that, but like there was the portable version for the 3DS, but now it's like it works better on a bigger screen and is portable.
Yep. So that'll be the definitive version of that game.
Mm-hmm.
However, the Switch is also the home to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So Xenoblade
right.
and its
Expansion.
expansion. Yeah. So Xenoblade Chronicles X is actually the first sequel, or I guess by this point it's a spin-off.
Yeah, this is disorienting. It's like Dragon Guard 2. Actually, wait, no, never mind. Nier.
And then Dragon Guard 3.
Well, that was a prequel.
Yeah,
Still confusing.
Yeah.
But Xenoblade Chronicles X is a completely different game. So there are actually 3 games in this series. This is the second one,
So weird.
oddly enough. So this it has a more of an open world structure than the other 2 games. And you kind of take missions on. It kind of has a Final Fantasy 12 feel to it in that way.
Okay.
Almost like like
I
a
think
lot
I
of
do know
stuff
what you
to
mean.
do across like a
Yeah,
whole big
it's
world.
very open world, but there's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, an adventurer's guild or something.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of has an almost MMO like feel, but it's a one-player game kind of thing.
Yeah, FF12 really did feel like an MMO, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that game that is probably the game that other than Mario 3D World that will desperately needs to be moved, because all of the other big RPGs, even Tokyo Mirage Sessions is getting a port at this point.
That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, but yeah, lo and behold.
Yeah.
So there are a couple others that I would say I would still want a Switch port of, and here's why. So there's Yoshi's Woolly World. That was a great game. I really loved Yoshi's Woolly World. That got a 3DS enhanced port. So it isn't technically marooned on the Wii U because it has the 3DS port. However, you put an improved version on an inferior system.
Yeah, Nintendo's been doing that. Like, I still think of, like...
Donkey Kong Country Returns did that.
Yes, and Hyrule Warriors. I mean, now it's on the Switch, but Hyrule Warriors Legends. This wasn't originally a Nintendo game, but Metal Gear Solid 3 to the 3DS.
Yeah, yeah.
You were able to crouch walk, but otherwise it was not a good way to play the game.
Mm.
Yeah, they also did this with Kirby's... I forget what the Kirby game was. The one where you're like clay animated Kirby.
I do know what you mean.
Rainbow Course.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the Wii U game. I was thinking Epic Yarn. I was thinking the wrong game.
No, not that
No,
one.
Epic Yarn was a Wii game.
Yeah, it was
not a
original
Wii U game.
Yeah. Yeah, Rainbow Curse was the Wii U game.
Rainbow Curse, that's it. Yeah, so that's the sequel to the DS game, like a launch window DS game called
I didn't even realize.
Canvas Curse. Yeah.
Oh, that didn't even occur to me. I just thought Rainbow Curse was his own thing. I didn't even realize that.
So that game is quite good, but that's also on the 3DS as a enhanced port.
Yeah.
By enhanced port, I mean they added content. So they did that with Donkey Kong Country Returns as well. There was the Wii version of that, and then they put it on the 3DS where they actually like mapped all of the functions to buttons rather than.
I was gonna say the best part about that game by far is
controls.
you didn't have to worry about waggle controls on a precision platformer.
They also added an entire new section that apparently made it worth playing the game again for.
Nice.
So yeah, like Nintendo has had a history of doing that lately.
Actually, come to think of it, even Donkey Kong Country Returns, like I know Tropical Freeze made the jump from the Wii U to the Switch.
It did.
But it would be nice to see Donkey Kong Country Returns make a jump all the way to the Switch, so it's like a properly no motion control playable version of the game.
Yeah, so I vote all 3 of those games should also have Switch ports as well, even though they're not technically fully marooned.
Yeah.
But it's in the it's in the spirit, because I want that extra content with HD graphics and a system playable on the TV here. The only other thing I did want to mention was they're the virtual console games.
Yes.
So first of all, the N64 virtual console games on both the Wii U and the Wii are the best way to play N64 games by far.
I cannot believe how good Sin and Punishment was.
It's way better as a virtual console game than it was on its original system.
I look forward to playing
way better
Star Successor, the second Sin and Punishment game. I heard that was brilliant.
Yeah, that game's great. Yeah, I got halfway through that.
Yeah, it was released on the
really
Wii,
good.
and it was like the only one Americans knew for a long time because we didn't get original Sin and Punishment. That was a Japanese-only game until it hit the virtual console.
I think that was Treasure's last big title. Like, everything else has been really a port or something similar.
Okay.
So, for instance, I think their last original title was Bangai-O Missile Fury.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think that was their last one that we got in America, at least. So but the DS emulator that Nintendo put, or the N64 emulator that Nintendo puts together, is way better than its original hardware.
Yeah, it's very good.
And you can map it to modern controls, like Sin and Punishment on a virtual console, or on the classic controller.
Yep, that's how I played it. That's the way to play, man.
Better than the N64 controller. Way better.
And by the way, and Fakafon, I'm sure you'd like this, but Ogre Battle 64 is on the virtual console as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Did you hear that they recently fan translated the last game in this series that hadn't been translated yet?
I didn't realize that there even was one that hadn't come over.
The Neo Geo Pocket Color game.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, really?
No wonder I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So what is there? There's the Super Nintendo game. There's the 64 game. There's Tactics Ogre. There's Ogre Battle on PS1.
Yes.
Anything else, or is it just a Neo Geo one?
The PSP,
PSP
remake.
That's right.
Remake of the first game.
So what is that? March of the Black Queen.
Tactics Ogre.
Tactics Ogre.
It's Tactics Ogre. Yeah, it's hard to keep track because there's Tactics Ogre and Ogre Battle are technically two different series, even though they're related.
Well, yeah, like I remember seeing on PS1, there's Tactics Ogre and there's Ogre Battle something. Like, and I was like, what?
There's a Tactics Ogre game for the GBA as well.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. So those. I think that's all of them, but it's confusing.
Yes.
It's very confusing. Apparently, the one to play is the PSP one.
Oh, really? I heard N64 was way up there.
Well, the
one
N64
on PSP is accretion disc, right? If I remember correctly.
That I don't.
What's
know.
that?
The one on the PSP is called Ogre Battle Accretion Disc, I think. Or
I don't know, but it's a remake of Tactics Ogre that adds a rewind mechanic, and it adds so many quality of life improvements. Plus, it like works the rewind feature into the story, like it's a part of like what your character can do.
Oh, that's cool. So it's like Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
Yeah, they actually talk about it in canon in the game.
Very
and
nice.
Like they add story bits to go along with it. It's apparently the way to play it because the old game is so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the PlayStation 1 remakes of Tactics Ogre and Ogre Battle as well. But yeah, it's named all the games basically.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the DS Virtual Console games.
Yeah, so this is the first, the only time any DS games have been playable on officially on TVs.
There's Zelda. There's both Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. There's the only other DS game I know off the top of my head is Fire Emblem Black Dragon.
So there, I don't think that one is on the Virtual Console.
No, I believe, unless it was delisted or something, but it certainly was on.
Yeah. So, what else is there?
I
there
seen it
is
available for sale.
Rayman 2, I think.
Oh, jeez. Wait, Rayman 2 was on DS?
Yes.
Well, then again, Rayman 2 was on like everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Um, the odd version of Super Mario 64 without like the analog controls, so why bother?
Huh.
Um,
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, no, but Mario, I forgot about that. Mario 64 DS, like, it had extra stars. You could play as other characters. It was like, I don't know how good the extra content is, but the concept is really intriguing.
It is cool. It is cool. So
It
like,
is-
yeah, they added like you could play as Wario,
Yeah.
as Luigi and
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
You
Yeah,
finally got
Yoshi.
that Luigi. Everyone was like sure was a thing, and it wasn't.
Yeah, so let me rattle off some Yoshi's Island DS, which is the first or the second sequel to Yoshi's Island. There was Yoshi's Story before that.
Oh yes, that's right.
The aforementioned WarioWare Touched, we already went over that. Yoshi's Touch and Go, which was an early release for the DS. Mario Kart DS, which was quite a good game, but has been like
That was a solid game though.
but
Like
these
I know
days,
Mario
all
Kart
you need
8
is 8.
Yeah,
All
I
you
know
need
8
is 8.
overrode it, but like I love Mario Kart 64. That's still probably my favorite Mario Kart game. But DS is like that game's pretty amazing.
It's a solid game. It was really great when it came out, especially. The first new Super Mario Brothers game, which was on DS, is on there, which is definitely worth getting for your TV. Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, probably my favorite game in the series.
Well, that was was that GBA or was that DS?
No, Partners in Time was a DS game.
Oh, okay.
It's the second game. The first one's the Superstar Saga.
Okay.
Partners in Time is my favorite game in the series. Some people like Bowser's Inside Story more, which is the third game, but this one's really great. This is the one with Mario and Luigi team up with Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. And you have each of the characters has its button on its face button,
Oh, that's
because
cool.
there are
that's
4
really
characters.
good.
So like you get into the groove with the co-op attacks in that game, and it was just so much fun. So yeah, definitely worth having on the TV. Really great game. Star Fox Command, which is an underrated Star Fox game.
That's
I think that one's actually pretty
I keep
good.
forgetting that like exists.
Yeah,
Everyone
me
keeps
too.
talking about when are they going to make a Star Fox game that's not a remake? When are they going to give me a new good Star Fox game? And nobody talks about the 2 times they actually did that, like Assault on the GameCube and Command on the DS. And even I forgot about Command.
And Zero, actually, a lot of people are looking back at it and saying they misjudged it. Like, it's actually quite a good game.
And not to mention the best game in the series, Star Fox Adventure Dinosaur Planet.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was so good.
Remember that time where you could play Star Fox the way you expected if you go planet hopping, so you get to play a Star Fox level for like 25 seconds?
And those Star Fox levels were so good.
I mean, I actually kind of do like the
They
game, but like, if I had grown up playing
not
old
what you
Star
want.
Fox, I'd probably been pretty pissed.
I didn't like the game. Like, I always thought it was so slippery, and the combat was really not that fun. And
It's okay, yeah. Like, the final boss was a freaking letdown too,
Oh,
but
dude,
like,
yeah, well.
I very much enjoyed General Scales. He was a really fun villain.
yeah, until the end.
Until the end, which was insanely lame, but I really liked him up to that point.
Yeah, me too. But
So next is they had Donkey Kong Jungle Climber.
Oh.
So
what is
this
that?
is a sequel to the GBA game Donkey Kong King of Swing. Which itself is a spiritual successor to Clu Land on the
Jesus.
NES.
Wow.
Yeah. So definitely like a kind of like a puzzle action game where you kind of you scoot around on things and swing. They had a sequel, Kirby Squeak Squad, which was the final Kirby game for the DS. Or was that before the one where you have all the little Kirbys? What was that one?
Oh, I know what you
couldn't
mean.
tell
but
you honestly.
Yeah, I'm really bad with titles of Kirby games.
I forget. Mass Attack. There we
Okay.
go. Mass Attack was great. But yeah, this was this was the last mainline Kirby game made for the DS, I think.
Wait, does that mean that the Virtual Console for N64 also has a Crystal Shards, which is probably the best looking game in the entire...
It does.
Yeah,
that game was pretty rad, and the final boss music is delightfully creepy.
And the graphics in that game were delightful, especially...
They were not bad.
You compare it to the older Nintendo 64 games, you're like, I cannot believe it can actually render things this well.
Yeah.
Like Kirby looks like a circle, like a round, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a forgotten genre of games, but these games were really popular on the DS when it was around. Big Brain Academy and Brain Age.
Dude, I love those. They're so fun.
Yeah, they were fun. They got re-releases as Virtual Console titles. Also, Style Savvy. I know you're a big Style Savvy guy there, Lou. There's Mario Party DS. Probably not worth your time.
No, probably not.
Legend of Zelda Found in My Hourglass, which is what Lotus was talking
Spirit
about.
Tracks, yeah.
And Spirit Tracks. Metroid Prime Hunters, which is an unusual choice because I'm sure it looks like garbage. Because it looked like garbage on the tiny DS screen. This is like one of the Metroid games where you're like, just skip that one. Yeah, that was like Metroid's attempt to play like Quake 3 Arena? No. Okay.
I could see it work if it was properly made.
Yeah, but no.
Okay.
The game that they made for the 3DS, the Galaxy Squad, I think, what was that called?
Federation Force?
Federation Force. That was much better, actually. That game is unfortunately very underlooked. That game was actually a lot of fun. That was kind of
actually,
like
ironically, I think you mean overlooked.
Yeah. Oh no, it was overlooked, and people didn't play it. It's very, very upsetting.
Yeah, I don't think people knew what it was.
Yeah,
it was a good game that just got completely bypassed by everybody because it wasn't a traditional Metroid game.
Which is funny because neither was Prime, and that's all anybody wants now anyway.
Yeah. Then there was Wario Master of Disguise, which was the final Wario Land game, I think.
Wasn't that when Wario could, what could he turn into? Like Dana Carvey?
Yeah. Pistachio Disguise.
Yeah.
How'd you know?
How'd you know? That video game killed Wario's career.
It actually did. There haven't been many Wario games since, actually.
Stop calling your shit Master of Disguise.
The Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games for the System Blue Rescue Team and Explorers of Sky.
Rescue Team.
These are proper Mystery Dungeon titles from Chunsoft. So if you want to get into the style of games before going into Shiren the Wanderer or Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon, this is a good way to do it. These games are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Pokemon Ranger, I don't know that one. Not really sure.
Yeah, I'm afraid I got nothing.
Me neither.
Yeah,
sorry.
there are 3 of them. Yeah, I don't know. Kirby Mass Attack did make it to the Virtual Console, so that's good. Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, which is one of the sequels of Donkey Kong 93. Kirby's Canvas Curse actually made it.
There you go.
Which I didn't realize. The DS Animal Crossing Wild World, just like some of the other games, you don't really need this one.
Oh yeah,
if you've
that's
already
true.
played the original.
Like with the Animal Crossing series, you'll never see the one on GameCube ever again because it's getting...
Yeah, because they just get better.
Well, exactly. It gets obsolete. That's the word I was thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah, no, totally. This is a forgotten one. This one's probably worth getting. Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Most of the Mario sports games are quite good. And this one was made by Square Enix of all companies.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it turn-based basketball with radical music by Nobuo Uematsu?
No, it's an action game and it's fun and it's good and I don't think Mario ever got another basketball game like that was dedicated. I think there was that Mario Superstars game. I think that had a basketball mode.
Well, that's the thing.
on.
Like, the only thing I could think of is stuff where, like, basketball is included, like the Olympic Games or whatever.
Yeah, there might be one in the Olympic Games titles. I'm sure there is, but this one's a whole game based around 3-on-3. It's not like, a small part of it.
Yeah.
Mario Wars.
Wow.
Advance Wars Dual Strike.
I want to see Mario Wars now.
The first Advance Wars game for the DS, which is quite good.
Actually,
really good game.
here's a question. Now, you know how Mario, I think it was 3 on the GBA, had all those extra levels that were like e-reader only, but the Virtual Console gives you all that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, with Dual Strike, if you have an old DS and you put in the previous Advance Wars game of the GBA into the DS...
Advance Wars 2.
Black Hole Rising. If you put that into...
No, Black Hole Rising was the second DS game, I think.
No, that was the second Advance game.
Oh, okay.
But what the point is, if you put the Game Boy Advance game into the DS with Dual Strike in it, you can load some just bonus levels. Is that a thing on the Virtual Console?
So unfortunately, any time when there's extra content like that, or even like online content, it got disabled with the Virtual Console version.
All right, no, because I'm just asking because they delivered with the e-reader stuff for Mario.
Yeah, you know why that was a reality? Because what had happened with the e-reader case is that Europe never got the e-reader at all.
Okay.
So when they released that version of Mario Advance 2 or 3, it was I think it was Mario Advance 2 was Mario 3, right? That one had those unlockable e-reader levels already unlocked in the European version. So they thankfully thought through it and gave us the European version.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just the European version of that ROM. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, like you said, and Picross 3D.
Oh yeah, I said Black Dragon, but you're right, Shadow Dragon. My fault.
So there aren't many third party games here, but a lot of the really good first party games for the original DS did make it, and it's a shame that you can only really play these on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Like if the store goes down, all of these games and these versions of those games will be lost. I know for certain some of these games will never be re-released on any other system, just because like some of them are just not as popular as they're just not going to be popular enough, and they weren't popular when they got re-released either. So I think it's a shame, and I don't know if they'll ever get DS games onto the Switch in an official collection capacity like they did with the NES and Super NES. But I actually we took up all the time with Wii U stuff, which I didn't think was possible. But I think this is a good discussion because the Wii U is really a system that, even though I liked it, it has some great games. I mean, we went over some really great titles there. I'd be glad if I never had to turn it on ever again. And that's just the truth of it. The Switch is everything and better.
I just like it for it's a nice 1080p upscaling Wii.
That's true. That's true. It could look better though. It didn't do the best job.
No.
It could have done better. Once the hackers get to it.
Yeah.
And make playing Wii games on it like fantastic, which will happen. It'll happen. But we have to hold our breath for that. But we should move on to fan stuff, Lotus, if you could.
Sure. So, Living Corpse had a couple comments. Oh boy, it's Spooktober, and boy do I have a horror story for you.
Oh, please don't say it. I'm too scared already.
Oh, I'll force my way through it. I'll make it happen. So I've told you guys before I was looking to do the first 4 Silent Hill games. Well, I was looking up some PlayStation 2s to buy one. Horror stories in almost every review. Some had dust in them despite being refurbished. Some died shortly after their warranty wore out. Several got cockroaches.
What?
Good God, I think I'm better off just buying the games and waiting for Analog to make a clone system in a few decades, because we know that's more likely than Konami doing a proper remaster collection.
Yep.
And Living Corpse's other comment is, I kind of wish Nintendo would put more power into their systems. It doesn't need to be as powerful as Sony or Microsoft, just powerful enough to not have to water down ports of third-party games on their systems. Case in point, MK11 on the Switch is such a mess with lag and ugly empty backgrounds no one is running a fighting game tournament with that port.
Yeah. Bummer.
Dracologist has a comment. This was my fault. Daikatana was Ion Storm, not id. Also, Mystic Towers is probably the only game where you're adventuring as a geriatric old man. Maybe. I have to think about that. General Ledger. The gags in West of Loathing...
I was just going to say near, but not really,
You're not
I
an
guess.
old man. The gags
He
in
looks
West of...
kind of old, though, because he looks kind of fugly.
You're a dad. What do you want? But like the gags in West of Loathing that most amuse me are the bizarre things that are treated as mundane, like the trading post. It's a store run by a wooden beam. It's a post. Or that gin, rather than juniper berries, grows on bushes. That is pretty amusing. I love stupid jokes like that. Yeah. So the question is, Fakafon, oh my god. So you asked, because you obviously don't know what you asked, so I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what you asked. Are there scenes or elements in games that you think could use corrections or tweaking in order to avoid player fatigue? For example, in Resident Evil 2's remake, the scene with Sherry avoiding Chief Irons is really cool, but it's not fun when you get caught and have to redo it. I'll get to stuff like that. It's one of those it's only fun the first time type of deals. In a case like this, I would have made it so getting caught would end the scene prematurely and go straight to Claire, but finishing the scene would unlock a bonus or something and make it worthwhile. Or sometimes games that have like 75 items you need to collect where like 10 would have been enough. Yeah, I was playing Metal Wolf Chaos and getting an S rank for raw scores involves pointlessly, mindlessly grinding enemies forever. It's like, just let me have it, dude. There was an Asterisks game on PS1 that went way overboard with a collectible objective like that.
Oh, I want to talk about that if I can.
Well, for me, for the Chief Irons thing, this isn't quite the same as Chief Irons, but skippable cutscenes would fix like any video game ever.
Yeah.
I remember Heavenly Sword was really bad with this because they would have long and elaborate, awesome cutscenes for like boss fights.
Oh yeah, always right before the boss. So every time you die.
And even during the boss sometimes, and then you die, and it's like, you gotta sit through all of it. It's so brutal.
So if I can talk a little bit more about that asterisk thing.
Yeah.
Please do.
So first of all, the game was shit already. So that didn't go to the advantage. It was just like a series of small mini games, and they were basically almost all the same. And the way they were like, well, we need this game to last more than like 5 minutes, so what do? And it's like, oh, well, instead of like collecting 10 fish, let's collect 75.
Yeah, that's just like, you're just sitting there doing it.
And
got another one.
And it's long. It's really long. Like, imagine like 20 seconds per fish. That's just 25 minutes of like... And you have to be precise too, because if you miss a fish, there's not a lot of room for error. So if you miss like just a few of them, you game over and you have to redo the whole mini game.
I could also think of stuff like this where like games that are not online, where grinding for materials against enemies that have like small drop rates is like, just let me have it, dude. I'm playing your damn game.
Yeah, that's common in a lot of games actually, even modern ones like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's like,
I had that trouble with Castlevania Circle of the Moon back in the day, the GBA Metroidvania. There is a necessary ability that I just didn't have. It's the ability to freeze an enemy. You need to use that in order to make enemies into platforms. So
like in Super Metroid.
Get through to the next section. Well, apparently you need to have. So in that game, all of the abilities are given to you by killing an enemy, and they drop it.
Okay.
Their
soul or whatever.
For that particular one, I just wasn't getting the drop, and it was basically the only drop like that you need that badly in the whole game. It gives you a valuable ability that you need in order to traverse the rest of the map.
That is terrible design.
It is awful design, because every other game like that before and after doesn't make you. It'll put you in like a boss situation if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bloodstain does that. And I have no problem with that, because like that it's always a sure thing,
Yes.
So if you beat this boss, then you get their ability, and then you get to move on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's my choice for this one.
Well, we were talking about this in between cons, but Final Fantasies, the new remakes, a lot of them, like, especially with 8, just because everyone knows about the very long draw system. Now that we have things like to avoid encounters or to speed the game up 3 times faster, now these things are a lot more. It's a lot better for the player. Like, they don't have to stand there and do the draws that. The animations is already not that super fast, and having to do that like a few times per spell, per enemies, and per party members, it gets long really fast. So being able to play the game... If you want to
max your fire stat, it's just endless.
Yeah, it takes a while, and that's for every magic in the game, not just a few. Every magic.
Yep. And like I had mentioned something similar. Like the only time I ever played Pokemon, like I don't mean Stadium or Snap, I mean like a mainline Pokemon game, was Yellow. And I played it on the Nintendo 64 because I did not own a Game Boy. I played it on the Nintendo 64 with the transfer pack via Pokemon Stadium. And I had unlocked the ability to play it at double and triple speed.
Oh.
So like I played Pokemon Yellow at triple speed, and like once you do double or triple, you get used to the speed. Like there's no going back. Like, why would you?
What's kind of funny about that is I've been playing Dragon Quest 11 S on the Switch, which is fantastic, by the way. It's like the first Dragon Quest game where I've actually like made any significant headway into the actual game. So I'm definitely going to continue with it because I really am loving it. Everything is good. Like, I really like it, and the battle system is really quick because you could just plow through the menu choices, and you can even put the other characters on a gambit-like control system if you wish. You can do manual controls, or you could just get them to do a general, like, do what they think is best kind of routine.
Yeah, like when you say gambit, you're referring to like Final Fantasy 12 gambit?
Exactly.
So it's like, I want you to only attack enemies that are level 15 or below. I want you to only go after level 16 or above. I want you to heal a player when they get below 60% health, or etc., etc.
Exactly. But there are 2D sections of this game where you play like kind of retro-y areas. And it slows down to a crawl, and you can't go through like you go through the menus like the old style, and I guess it's supposed to be
it's
nostalgic, but it's just like, okay, come on, I need to kill the
Like,
slime.
now I remember why I like modern conveniences.
Yeah, it's just like, like
that retro thing only works if it's like a flash of a shot, or like if it's not a whole dungeon. If it's like fight an enemy, it's like, remember that? Okay, but seriously now,
it wasn't like it wasn't even an hour's worth of playing that part, but it's still like this could be snappier. Come on, let's get on with it.
One other example I thought of, and it's cool because it actually happened, Wind Waker. Like, if you remember Tingle's Quest, where you need to find the maps to get the pieces of the Triforce.
Yep.
In the original game, that took forever, and not only that, but you had to go find the treasures, and then you had to pay Tingle, and he was not cheap. He was.
I didn't really care about that. It was just that like you really had to go all over the map and go fishing. Like the whole game slowed to a crawl. It was pretty rough. Not to mention the new game gave you like a better teleport thing, or made you there was like a sail fast.
Yes, a new sail
or something.
And thank goodness for that.
Now that I think about that, it's apt that you mentioned those because I totally forgot about these. But the HD
Yeah, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are significantly better than their original counterparts.
Yeah.
And they're marooned on the Wii U. And they should be definitely be on the Wii, and I think they are on the Switch, and I think they will be. I think because those games are classics.
By the way, one game I'll mention that does have a very good thing that I think other games could benefit from is Earthbound, where if you are way over leveled and you run into an enemy, the battle just ends. It's like you got him.
So great.
And if you get an enemy from behind, then you get first strike or are more likely to insta-kill them. Like, the only way a low-level enemy is ever going to put you into a battle screen when you're high level is if somehow you let it get you from behind, and it's like...
Or a large mob.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
a large mob, if by the time the battle screen loading thing hasn't finished, if more enemies pile on, then okay, I guess there'll be a battle screen too. But, like, Earthbound really made grinding a more palatable process than it could have been.
Another thing I love about Earthbound, and this might sound stupid, but it's one of those great things for players, is you don't die instantly. You lose your health, and then you die.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, like your hit counter, like, ticks down. So, like, if the enemy dies before... Like, even if you are dealt a fatal blow, if the battle ends before your life counter ticks down to 0, then good job. It stops at whatever it stops at.
In Mother 3, it particularly is a strategic element because you could do so much working around the fact that your health is ticking down.
Yeah, it's very well done.
And also you have to watch whether you are doing the timed rhythm hits because that takes up time. So, like, you may just want to do a quick hit and then move on to doing a heal. Because you don't want to take up precious time while it's ticking down.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting
by the way,
mechanic.
One other convenience that old games could fix, and a lot of times when they've been ported, they do fix it, is like arcadey stuff. Really anything though with limited continues.
Oh yeah.
Like, I understand that they had them back then because it was an arcadey mindset, and you paid $50 for like a 30-minute game. So let's make it challenging by allowing it a game over. But now all those games are $5. It's like, let me just play to the end.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
Usually, most of the time nowadays, when these games get ported, you just have a button to insert quarters, so you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if you played Streets of Rage 2 on the Genesis, that's honestly not the hardest game. But still, like, you paid $50 for it, so it's like you have limited continues.
Yeah.
But now there's really like no reason to keep that thing going.
Yeah. Well, I think we explored that topic pretty well. We want to thank the guy who contributed questions. He's a pretty cool dude.
I heard
what's his name again? Yeah.
But any final thoughts on that before we wrap things up, gentlemen?
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is there's a lot of games where when you die, you restart the level, like original Mario style.
Sure.
I would say games would benefit from checkpoints or even just like insta respawn, because like for the same reason, like, again, we get it, just let me play the game. Like, I'm not gonna get the high score, I'll take that hit, it's fine.
Oh yeah, one last thing too, something I like about modern games too is that nowadays when you die, like in older, let's say for example Final Fantasy VI, if you die you gotta load your game, so you lost everything you did. But in modern games, even Demon Souls and Dark Souls, even if you die, you'll lose your progress, but you will keep the items you picked up, and you can get your experience back if you...
You have a chance.
Exactly, so it's not...
Yeah, like, I remember on Symphony of the Night, it would take you to the title screen. Like, fuck you. Like, not only do you have to reload your position, but you actually have to, like... You're out of the game. You have to reload your file now. Like come on, dude. So there's not even a continue option. Just, like, you are out.
It was actually pretty forward-thinking. Ever since Dragon Quest 1, even, when you die in that, it's not game over. You actually go back to the last inn with half of your currency.
Oh, kind of like Pokemon, sort of?
I believe so, yeah.
Pokemon does do that, yeah. Or like in Quest 64, other than items you've used, you lose nothing. You just get beamed back to the inn.
Which honestly is like the good kind of punishment. It's like, well, you'll keep like the power you've gained, but you gotta restart your progress, which is, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. So like you come back stronger than before, and not only that, but like I don't think it really matters in Quest 64 in particular, but in some games you might actually want to die as like a quick exit from a dungeon.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, any other last minute additions?
No, that was it.
It.
That was it.
Okay, well, that's the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions, especially Fakafon. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and Bungie.
Whoa, changing it up. Still a b-something.net. So you can follow me.
I won't be anything by the end of this.
So you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, currently Grim Fandango, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting involved in conversations with me and other patrons on Twitter, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found on patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Man, I wish I could have continued playing Grim Fandango, but I was too young when I got the game. I didn't understand what I was supposed to do.
Some of those puzzles are pretty rough.
Well,
yeah, they're obtuse.
And also, I didn't speak English so well.
That's a pickle.
And
it's a dilly of a pickle.
You can find me on YouTube under Fakafon. You can find me on Twitter under Lou Fakafon. You can find my webcomic at Kadrilla.com, and it's also available on Web2, that's Kadrilla-chan. And finally, you can stop by my Patreon under Kadrilla-chan as well.
Excellent. Well, we'll catch everybody on Tuesday for another episode of Reactive. We'll catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Hey, goodbye, everybody.